I'm Dr Samantha Williams, reader in social history and academic director for history here at the Institute for Continuing Education. I teach a range of British social and economic history courses, and I'm course director for the MST in History, a part-time course taught over 2 years. My research focuses upon poverty, disease and medicine. The social distancing we are practicing at the moment is nothing new. It was put into effect during outbreaks of other epidemic diseases, such as bubonic plague in the 16th and 17th centuries. Past populations also used health certificates. They closed national and local borders and put restrictions on the movement of goods, believing that these too could transfer disease. They believed that plague was transmitted via contagion from person to person, as well as through miasma. Miasma was bad smells in the air. Perfumes could prevent infection, such as that in this plague doctor's beaked nose. When Samuel Pepys went out during the Great Plague of London in 1665, he held a posy up to his nose. England had no public health regulations against plague at all before 1518. This made it unlike many other European countries, and particularly Italy and France. The first plague regulations were devised by Cardinal Wolsey for London and taken to Oxford by Thomas More. In a similar fashion to the government today, with their daily totals of infections and deaths, London and some other towns tracked plague infections through the bills of mortality. These gave weekly figures of plague deaths. When the count got too high, we can see the most extreme form of social distancing. The monarch, parliament, the clergy, and the rich and wealthy fled. Those infected with the plague were identified. Infected houses were marked by bundles of straw hung from their windows for 40 days. And later this became a cross on the door, and the words "Lord have mercy upon us" was written above. Inmates of infected houses had to carry a white stick when they went out into the streets. Thus those not infected with the plague could avoid infected houses, and they could socially distance themselves from infected people outside when they went outside their own houses. Some provincial towns separated the infected in special pest houses, away from everybody else. York was one of the first towns to shut up whole infected households for 6 weeks, and this became national policy from 1578. In York and Cambridge they stationed watchmen at the ways into the towns to prevent the movement of infected people in or across the town. This was another form of social distancing, keeping out people from known infected places. Urban councils also postponed fairs to prevent contagion between people attending. In Cambridge, 2 large annual fairs were cancelled, Midsummer Fair and Stourbridge Fair, as well as the annual dinners for the mayor and the aldermen. As now, the size of church congregations was limited, and funerals were to take place at dusk to restrict the number of mourners. Those who came into contact with those suffering from the plague were also identified. Nurses, searchers of the dead, who searched bodies looking for the telltale signs of plague, and bearers of the dead, who took corpses away for burial. They had to swear to carefully shun and avoid coming into company not infected with the plague. They also had to carry a red or a white stick in their hands at all times, so that others could avoid them. And they had to stay away from their families, a bit like some current NHS staff.